The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. To get tell me how we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises, them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting high, I wonder when it all goes down, comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. We can tell me how.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party. The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises, them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting high, I wonder when it all goes down, comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. We can tell me how.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
The scale of dealing with anti-corruption issues. So there is a learning curve that we are going through. What is important is that the government supports the development of the institution so it can accelerate very quickly on that learning curve and provide the resources so that they can move very quickly on the learning curve, and that the government does not intervene or interfere. And that message goes to the opposition as well. Leave the anti-corruption and policing agencies to do their jobs. I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right start that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.
Hello, welcome. Happy Tuesday to everyone in television land. Happy Tuesday to our silent supporters. Happy Tuesday to everyone in the chat. Hope everyone had a wonderful holiday, long weekend, and had their good servings of bun and cheese. And also having a productive start to the new week. Tonight's topic is greed, corruption, murder with your host, Baron and Marie, Melting Pot, and Pastor Ricky. Remember, guys, when you come in, thumbs up the live, share us out if you can. And if you're new to the channel, please show us some support by subscribing. And also, please remember the membership is still active. So anyone who wants to join our membership to give extra support to the channel, that will be greatly appreciated. Let me just, before I hand over, remind you guys about the upcoming event, Patel Yard Style Barbecue over there in Yala St. Thomas. Please go out and support Patel. The number to call is 876-441-2284, and it is 3 days away. So please, guys, support Patel Yard Style Barbecue. Before I hand over to Baron, I'm just going to ask Pastor Ricky to just lead us up in a word of prayer, please.
Amen. Thank you, Lady Anne-Marie. God bless you again, Sir Byron, Sir Melting Pot, everyone in the chat. Let's pray. Father, we thank you once again for this beautiful day that you have made, that in spite of all the circumstances, situations that we encounter, we will rejoice and be exceedingly glad. We commit tonight's program once again into your hands. We thank you, oh God, that you're covering your daughter, Lady Anne Marie, as she navigates through the different clips and documents and videos. Take control of her fingers, take control of her thoughts and her thinking, that everything be done decent and in orders, no distractions, no complications, no internet problems. We thank you for your son, Sir Byron, as he dig deep and deep dive research and make a presentation to edify the people, to encourage them, to lift them up, to strengthen them, to impart wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the subject matter, that you will guide his thoughts and his thinking. Bless your son, Sir Melton Pot, and his wife. Continue to give them grace and courage. Open the windows of heaven and continue to pour out your favors on the both of them and their families and children. Bless everyone in the chat. We thank you for their stick-to-itiveness. We thank you because they could have been otherwise minded, but they decide to join each and every night, night in, night out, week in, week out. Bless them and their children, spouses, and family, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Okay, I'm just gonna give an umbrella welcome and bless up to everyone in the chat, because it's quite a number of persons already in the chat. But I want to give a special shout out to our channel member, Rave One. Bless up yourself. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to everyone for being here. Really appreciate each and everyone. Baron, over to you.
All right, thank you for that, wifey. Tonight, once again, right, we are here and we are in Full Metal Jacket. Now, what we are going to discuss tonight is quite extremely serious as it relates to Andrew Holness, right? Being a billionaire. Many Jamaican people don't understand that Andrew Holness' status as it relates to wealth. Andrew Holness is more than a billionaire, no two way about that. Well, what we are going to discuss tonight is to highlight the evidence. Andrew Holness by himself could not pull off what he had pulled off in terms of the illicit enrichment. I want to talk to Jamaican people. He couldn't have pulled it off by himself. And so then Andrew Holness quite selectively selected, right, persons and put them in respective places so that the grand loot can be done. Now, Andrew Holness needed a key to the treasury. And we are going to see how Andrew Holness used that key to access the treasury. And when I said key, I am talking about permanent secretaries, because every ministry has its respective permanent secretary. But you are going to see how Andrew Holness carefully selected a particular permanent secretary that now propelled to the position of cabinet secretary. We are going to dig deep dive into that and reveal some amazing things. But before we get there, right, we have two clips that we want to break before we get into the investigation, because the investigation is a big thing for tonight. And let me say this, Jamaican people, it is going to be one of the most riveting items that we ever mentioned here on social media. I mean, equally, right, has the same spin as SSL. We are going to show you how Andrew Holness' action was premeditated, right, as it relates to why he did not sign the code of conduct. We are finding more reasons, and we are going to put them together for you tonight. Now, let us hear Andrew Holness prior to Andrew Holness being the incumbent and how critical he was as it relates to corruption. And when you listen to Andrew Holness, you realize what sort of hypocrite Andrew Holness is. Very serious when you listen to him. So I'm going to highlight these two clips, and then we get into the meat of the matter for tonight, which is going to be quite alarming. And of course, right, Jamaicans, they are going to shock in terms of what we are going to reveal tonight. Not too be about that. Now, let us listen to Andrew Holness speaking against so-called corruption and what he was speaking against, as according to him, as it relates to Azan and what Azan did. Now, what Azan did, let me just point it out clear and plain. Azan did not follow the procurement guidelines, but he took money from out of his personal purse and provided shed and shelter for some people. And Andrew Holness at the time saw that that was wrong. And while Andrew Holness was speaking on the matter, Andrew Holness was committing several wrongs against the system while he was accusing Azan. We want to make sure we put that in tonight. Now, without any delay, people listen to Andrew Holness, right, as according to him, serious about governance, and where the government at the time, he was saying, need to be accountable. Listen to Andrew Holness. Let us listen to Andrew Holness, being the hypocrite he is, because tonight we are going to expose him. And we will be exposing the cabinet secretary, who was once permanent secretary. Listen to Andrew Holness.
I want you all to hear this.
US cable had said that Mr. Powell seems to essentially get away because he has managed to successfully forge alliances with his political superiors. Do you agree with that?
Well, they have analyzed it correctly. As I said before, the Prime Minister is complicit in this. She has taken no action that would suggest that the minister could not make such future mistakes. He's still a member of her cabinet.
What's the opposition going to do about this further?
What? The opposition is very strident against this. And, you know, those questions, what will the opposition do? The opposition can't unappoint the minister. The real question is, what is the government going to do about this? It is a discretion. I am adding pressure right now as I speak to you. We have written to the Prime Minister to make known our concerns. It is the Prime Minister who must act. And my job is to stimulate public opinion as well, so that the public is not misguided by opinion leaders who seem to be very comfortable with the low standard of governance that is being offered by this government.
What if the Prime Minister does nothing else, doesn't ask for his resignation or anything?
It reflects the kind of Prime Minister that we have, and the country must decide if we're comfortable with that.
Had you been Prime Minister, what would
my actions would be clear. My actions would be clear and decisive, and I make no bones about that. I believe in a very high standard of governance. He would not be a minister today.
His apology to the Contractor General, saying that if he had said anything that could be construed as a lack of respect for the Contractor General's office, he withdraws those statements and apologizes. What do you make of that?
You know, there are some lines that ministerially you don't cross. And apologies are not good enough to fix them when you have crossed them.
Wow.
He did that with the Contractor General. It shows a mind that does not respect the limits of his authority. And that's dangerous in a minister. And for a Prime Minister to accept that is to place the public's interests in peril as well.
Dr. Vincent Lawrence is now going to be heading that energy enterprise team. What
Jamaicans, I want you all to hear this.
My Jamaican people, you have heard what Andrew Woolner said. That as a minister, certain lines you don't cross. This is Andrew Woolner's. I want to show the entire Jamaica what Andrew Woolner said. That some line as a minister you don't cross, and there is no forgiveness that can cover that. No forgiveness. Let us repeat what Andrew Woolner said. As a minister, certain line you don't cross, and no forgiveness, right, will ever shape that situation for you to continue to be a member of parliament. This is Andrew Woolner's statement. Now, let us bring forward, my people, to 2025 as it relates to what the current opposition has to deal with when it comes to the incumbent government. Without any delay, let us get into that. And when we play the two clip, I'm just going to quickly go to the panel and ask the analysts to break it down for us. All right, without any delay. Yes.
Ease. Comrade Chairman, let me say greetings to the next Prime Minister of Jamaica, Comrade Mark Golding. I want to say greetings as well to your next Member of Parliament, because if them no one get rid of Andrew in a one way, we are going to get rid of him, Yasso. Because if he not there, Yasso, he can't in Parliament. Your next Member of Parliament, Paul Buchanan. To all the comrades on the platform, comrades in the audience, greetings. You know, I thought long and hard about how I'm going to approach this evening. One man say, come down here and just say everything when you want to tell them. One next man say, no, just come down and reason with the people then. If I tell you the truth, I know me don't know which one of them may make up my mind yet. But I realize a little thing that I go on. The laborites are no longer saying that them no thief. Them not argue with nobody against it, them no thief. Them not try convince you that them no thief. What they are trying to do now is to mix up other people and say, well, are we thief? Don't draw me now, no nastiness. Me and laborite under the same. If I said to you 5 years ago that there is a politician, a parliamentarian in parliament, and that the Integrity Commission said that that person used charity money and buy a financial instrument for them personal self, or if I said to you that somebody got to an ATM machine and deposit cash worth in millions of dollars into that person's account, you would have said to me that is the end of that person's career. But lo and behold, here we are today, where we have a prime minister who come out and said that is foolishness. He must go sue the Integrity Commission. He is saying that the law that him passed is unconstitutional. He's suggesting that the anti-corruption body in the country is targeting him. Well, me no have no problem if police are target suspects. It is the duty of the police to target people whose actions are suspicious. That's what law enforcement is supposed to do. So if the anti-corruption body keeps on hearing that there's the possibility of corruption with a parliamentarian, they're supposed to target them. How can we have a prime minister who is the head of the state and get up and say, I must sue the country? The prime minister can't sue me. And if I try sue me for one law where him pass, Andrew Holness, time come now to pack your bags and go.
You don't get any challenge with enough farm and not go.
They want to try and destroy people with lies when the truth can destroy them. Well, I'm here tonight to speak the truth. I too, Comrade Knight, I am ashamed of this Prime Minister because the Prime Minister told the country he doesn't know why they have not certified him. And then we find out that the Integrity Commission met with the Prime Minister in person and told him why they were not certifying him, because there's the possibility of illicit enrichment. The Prime Minister of the country is a liar.
Amen.
No, me not say what my granny say. No. I won't tell you no tonight what my granny say.
Every lie.
No, the granny probably say the same thing.
Say.
Whenever you talk, they want to shut you up. And it don't matter who you are, they want to shut you up same way. You know. Imagine Bruce Golding come out and talk and Everett Warmington cuss him like dog. Usain Bolt come out and talk and Venetia Phillips and jump down him throat. It's like you can't say nothing. And then when we talk, the Prime Minister is saying that we're bad mind. The politicians work for the people. How can your boss have a question about how you're conducting your duty and your answer is that your boss is bad mind? And you will let nobody no bad mind you. Nobody no grudge you for not what you have because you can't explain what you have.
That's right. Amen.
I don't know if they think they can bully somebody, but they certainly can't bully me because me not afraid of them, no place, no day, nowhere. And anywhere I go and talk what I feel to talk. I go down Yuatan and I tell them, say, Bunty no clash with Tanto Black, so Apia can't call me name, you know. The man them get vexed and call a press conference and call me name about 50 times. Then if Bunty no clash with Tanto Blacks, you think me I respond to the toy soldiers. Get serious if you don't want to have a conversation. Then you go dibby, they want to send out. No bother with that. Come in on the real conversation and put on the mouth on the money there. Because...
All right, let us take the way. Now, you know, my Jamaican people, you have heard what Andrew Holness stated there, right? That there are some boundaries that, you know, as a member of parliament, speaking to corruption, that you don't cross, right? And when you look as it relates to what is revealing, relating to Andrew Holness, now you realize, of course, that he's one of the greatest hypocrites there is. Now, Melting Pot, let me just go to you right away, right, in terms of, you know, what he said then prior to him being the incumbent government, and now is the incumbent government, and the revelation of corruption and other criminalities. What say you on the matter, Melting Pot?
Yeah, man, first I want to big up the people, you know. Good to be here in the space once again, you know. Sharing the platform with our hosts, Sir Byron, Technical Director, Lady Anne Marie, And our usual our pastor who is here to guide us through all the, variants of contention and everything like that. So we always have a pastor who lend the message to the platform to guide it along the journey. But in the case of Andrew Holness, yeah, as the opposition leader, Andrew used to fling a whole heap of stone. Andrew no stop fling stone over upon the PNP. But now Andrew Holness become the Prime Minister and no want a stone come upon him. So Andrew as a Jamaican look like him don't know about Peter Touch. Peter Touch say, if you live in a glass house, don't throw stone. If you can't take blow, brothers don't throw blow. Yeah, man. And this is how Andrew you practice, to throw stone. So in the case of Azan, yeah, because that was a prime topical discussion at the time. Or him just destroy Azan political career. Yeah? By attacking Azan and the People's National Party. And what Azan did was nothing in comparison to what the same Andrew One is doing right now. The only thing that Azan did was to breach the procurement guideline. But in terms of the erection of those 6 stalls, that was done by Azan, kind heart and well thinking in regards to Jamaican out there in the hot boiling sun, hustling. So I'm beside, well, make that little space look like a nice little put together vending zone. So I'm erect 6 stalls. And that becomes a big issue for Andrew Holness. As if Azan robbed Jamaica. And him carry out him endeavor pursuit along with some little cronies where have around him like Pernell Charles, Dr. Crab, and Audley Saw. And all of them contrive to oust Azan. But here is Andrew Holness now with a stack of corruption pile up around him. Right now the corruption has suffocated Andrew. He can't breathe. The way the corruption high around him. So Andrew Holness now find himself now like a little, dog where a motor car lick down on the road and it's a battle for life. Because Andrew now have no standing anymore in a Jamaica political landscape. We can't have a prime minister who cannot be certified going 4 years now. We can't have a prime minister who will go around and do things that is not in keeping with the role that he is elected for as the chief civil servant. Because here is a man who have all type of various business while serving as the chief civil servant. And these are the same thing why Andrew is in corruption. Because Andrew wants to play a double standard role. Prime Minister and business entrepreneur. That don't work. Because that right away highlight nepotism and cronyism. Andrew as a individual coming to politics with nothing. When Andrew becomes prime minister, Andrew never have no business. So right there and then Andrew let it clean going in terms of business, not clean in terms of reputation. Because remember Andrew a thief long time. But in terms of having any business that could be identified, he did not have any. But Andrew Holness, as a prime minister, started a lot of business, trucking, shell company, all type of business, contractor, everything he might do under one umbrella. And the work where Jamaican employ Andrew to do, he never pursued that. So Andrew Holness was, while Jamaicans are sleeping at night, Andrew Holness was working, attaining all the levels of corruption where you see him pack up in. So now we have a problem with this guy. wanted to be re-elected, still continuing as the Jamaica Labour Party leader. But Azan should never be a member of parliament. And if it brings so much pain to bear on the People's National Party leader at the time, Portia Simpson, to get rid of Azan, then why is Andrew Wallace still the Prime Minister of Jamaica and the leader of the Jamaica Labour Party? When Andrew Wallace's crime add up to 1,000 times worse than Azan, people may not talk about 100, you know. Me say 1,000 times, probably a billion too. Way above where Azan did. Azan was being very charitable to Jamaican, trying to help Jamaican who he saw was in need of help. He did not take away from the country. And Andrew Wallace, because of him bad mind when him have, because Andrew full of bad mind, Andrew decided to form a contingency of Jamaica Labour Party hierarchy, and I can't name them out again. You have the Minister of Security of National Security, Dr. Crabbe. People know him as Horace Chang, right? You have Ardley Saar. People know him as Me No Dead Yet. And you have Purnell, Black and White Charles, where thief 1,500 acre land over St. Thomas, along with Andrew Wallace, come out and ridicule Azan for 6 star when make and give the people them out time. One pocket. He never thief the money. So we cannot have Andrew Wallace in the space. And once again, we go tell Andrew, when you live in a glass house, don't throw stone. And remember, your name nor your face must not be on the ballot paper. You must not be representing no area in Jamaica.
True.
None whatsoever. And I yield back the floor to another member of the panel.
Well, wonderful input there, and as what Melton Pot stated, and which is true, obviously true. When you look at it in terms of when Andrew Wallace, right, was the opposition, right, the PSOJ would have backed him, right, and force pressure onto Portia Simpson, right, to have Azan discipline. Now, what the PSOJ is saying now, in spite of, as it relates to what Melton Pot said, which is 100% true, right, his doing is rather worse. But yet the PSOJ is silent. But we know why. We know why. Now let us bring Pastor Ricky in this place. Pastor Ricky, what say you on this matter?
Well, the Prime Minister is a hypocrite, and he lacks moral integrity. He lacks godly character, and he lacks every type of standing as it relates to integrity. Because we have to recall that in 2008, the Prime Minister purchased 5 different properties, including the Waycliffe Drive, where he's building all these apartments complex now, and the Beverly Hill Mansion, and he had a taxi service that went under, and Arcade Drive apartment. So we see that this Prime Minister has been involved in a lot of corruption, because when you look back at when he was the Minister of Education, that he gave Robert Garvin a lot of contracts, government contracts, and that in his nepotism and cronyism, kickbacks to himself as well, to help fund some of these things that he has acquired that his lawful salary could not attain. And so for him now, hungry for power as an opposition leader in 2015, tried to hold an incumbent government foot to the fire for something that was Comrade Azan did not go to the procurement guidelines. he did it from a gracious space in his heart, as the comrades is always about helping those who have a need. And so upon that Michael Manley mandate and philosophy, he did what he thought was best in the interest of a couple of vendors who needed a stall. And the bad mind in this prime minister, the furious anger that he displayed to say that the prime minister should resign if she doesn't hold Comrade Azan accountable. For what? But yet, we can read the IC report today and see that this prime minister failed 3 consecutive years of his statutory declaration certified by an anti-corruption integrity commission that is holding government accountable as it relates to illicit enrichment and corruption. We can read the IC report and see that the prime minister was involved in money laundering by placing money in different accounts and having a shell company in St. Lucia to avoid paying taxes in Jamaica, and also to hide his corruption. We can see embezzlement of taxpayers' fund. We can see racketeering in the Integrity Commission report. We can see conspiracy to commit investment fraud when he took out a $50 million loan from an investment company and proposed 3 collaterals that he did not have at the time. And the abuse of power. We can go back to his 100-day promises in 2016 of having a term limits for prime minister, having what is impeachment bill, and bringing companies into Jamaica to reduce electric city power for the people. So he have the nerves to want to force, you know, and the desperation to try to hold Mama P and her government accountable for nothing compared to the level and the gross violation of corruption that we have seen from this administration. And not only the prime minister, but so many other members of parliament who's on the investigation. There's 7 right now members of parliament sitting in the parliament that is running for re-election in the general upcoming election. Their names should not be on the ballot. But did the prime minister hold them accountable? Did he step aside and recuse himself? Did he step aside and resign? He's in court right now. Not only that, but the prime minister is still on the investigation right now as we're speaking. The IC report refer him in a MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, to FID, the Financial Investigational Division, and to Tax Administration of Jamaica, TAJ, for further investigations because he refused to cooperate with the Integrity Commission because he could not explain his wealth. These are grounds for him to resign. These are grounds for him not to be on the ballot. Nothing compared to what Richard Comrade Azan did. This man, this prime minister intent is all criminality before he even ran for prime minister in 2016. So listen, let us remember that when it comes to transparency and accountability and integrity, this prime minister lacked those moral principles. This man didn't even sign the leadership code of conduct by the Integrity Commission that they offered the course. He took it along with his cronies and none of them signed it. He's unfit to be prime minister and he had the nerves. I mean, if he has any conscience at all, looking at this clip that you just played, Sir Byron, he should resign immediately with effect, because what he's accusing Mama P administration for is nothing compared to the level of corruption and criminality that we have seen from this man. He should resign right now. Back over to you, Sir Byron.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wonderful input from both analysts, right? I mean, hitting the nail on the head. Now, my Jamaican people, tonight I want you all, locally and in the diaspora, put a keen listening to what I am going to say now. We are going to get into the investigation. I am going to provide a background, right, as to where we are going. Now, let me explain this, because this is extremely, extremely serious. We have seen that Andrew Holness did not sign a code of conduct, and we have seen that Andrew Holness instructed his men not to sign a code of conduct. But why? Why? Now, in order, as it relates to Andrew Holness, illicit enrichment, Andrew Holness could not have done this alone. Andrew Holness needed the help of some key players. Key players. Let me give you a reminder. Paul Llewellyn became the DPP in 2008. DPP, Paul Llewellyn. We have none other than Audery Sewell. This name, we are going to show Jamaica how Andrew Holness is really a chess player. So Andrew Holness know that to get to the treasury, he need a defense. DPP, drink the tablet and enroll in the corruption. The other person that Andrew Holness needed was to control permanent secretaries, because the permanent secretaries are the keys to the treasury. The permanent secretary responsible to ensure that procurement processes being obeyed, the rules and guidelines being obeyed. You're going to see one particular permanent secretary that the Prime Minister selected in 2008, which is Audery Sewell. You are going to see that every area where Audery Sewell became the permanent secretary, those are the areas where billions of dollars unaccounted for within those ministries. We are going to show evidence of that. We are going to show evidence of Audery Sewell growth between the period 2008, since Andrew Holness selected Audery Sewell. So we're gonna check from 2008 until 2025, where Andrew Holness got Audery Sewell to be the cabinet secretary, now control all the permanent secretaries. Now, last week, when I touched the Zara Burton report, Zara Burton is anticipating a particular report to see if the signature rate of definitely the cabinet secretary was a fix, and a deal that Zara Burton is investigating was that deal got cabinet approval, because the permanent secretary refused. We're going to get in the chronological sequence tonight. And I know that they are listening to me, and they realize that I put the name, a particular name on the thumbnail. So of course, it is going to get them curious, because that name, the permanent secretary, Audery Sewell, tried to avoid. Audery Sewell doesn't want to have nothing to do with that name, because that name has a bitter, bitter history. Now, To understand what Mystic Sensation is talking about, I am going to take the people as it relates to first understand the role and responsibility of a permanent secretary. So I just, I don't want for you to just hear it out of Mystic Sensation. I want for you to understand the role and function and why it was important for Andrew Holness to play that card in terms of controlling the permanent secretary. Very important. Without the permanent secretary doesn't come on board, Andrew Holness cannot get to the treasury. As it relates to corruption, we are talking about corruption. As it relates to nepotism and cronyism, Andrew Holness used the three mediums of evil as it relates to corruption: nepotism, cronyism, and skullduggery. So now we have $3 trillion unaccounted for. We are going to tell you how Andrew Holness was able to achieve that. Let us put up the role of the permanent secretary. Let us find the role of the permanent secretary for the people so that the people can understand. And I read the background here. The permanent secretary is accountable to the Prime Minister for the role delineated for his or her position. He or she has the responsibility to support the general policies and priorities of the government and to operate within the context of the management practices and procedures established for the government as a whole. The following is listed of the generic duties of a permanent secretary. Now I'm just going to go down to number 3 and 4. Number 3 said, to provide leadership, among other things, by managing and motivating directors general and directors through delegation and progress reporting, establishing effective collective leadership through the Ministry Management Committee, ensuring that directors general and directors establish effective collective leadership through departmental management committees, instilling within the ministry a receptiveness and enthusiasm for reform initiatives, looking for leaders with the ability to build teams, make decisions, deliver results, and communicate effectively. I want you to pay attention now to bulletin point number 4, because this is where we are getting at. To manage financial resources effectively, people, I want you to understand that. The permanent secretary responsibility is to manage financial resources effectively, among other things, by 1, coordinating the production of estimates from the departments, parastatal and other associated bodies, and the establishment of priorities among conflicting claims and resources. Bulletin point number 2, ensuring compliance with Ministry of Finance, Treasury requirements, and policies. Want to hear that, people? Appreciating the need for cost consciousness and promote re-examination of policies. Identify major programs where his review is necessary. Keeping working methods under review and being ready to consider new way to secure the value for money. Take that away. Now, we could go on and on. Why Mystic Sensation is getting there in terms of the responsibility that Andrew Holness need a key to get to the treasury. And Andrew Holness cleverly had done that in choosing Audery Sewell. But why did Andrew Holness chose Audery Sewell? People, what we're going to reveal next is going to be revelation to many of us as to the reason why Audery Sewell was chosen. You are going to see that Audery Sewell as a history centers around corruption. Audery Sewell is from the DNA of corruption. Now we are going to go to the evidence to prove that Audery Sewell is from the DNA of corruption. Without any delay, let us get to what many Jamaicans did not know, that there was a permanent secretary in Jamaica that was gunned down, was murdered. So when Byron put on the thumbnail, corruption, greed, and murder. Moving forward, we're going to call that number 3. Corruption, greed, and number 3. And how we put, as it relates to the DNA of corruption where Audery Sewell is concerned. Without any delay, let us get to that document. Permanent Secretary gunned down. Now, people, I am going to explain as to why we are getting here. Permanent Secretary gunned down in broad daylight. Sybil E. Hibbert brought this story January 7, 2013. However, this incident was done 1977. And yes, Audery Sewell has more than 40 years worth of experience. More than 40 years that take you back to this day that we are going to speak about, 1977. Let us go. After alleged it and Ted Ogilvy, George Flash, Tony Brown fled to Cuba. But it was a murder that shocked the nation. In broad daylight on June 16, 1977, hitmen gunned down Edward Ted Ogilvy, permanent secretary in the Ministry of Construction, as he stood at the gate to his Lydia Drive home in Avondale, St. Andrew. Ogilvy had gone home for lunch and was returning to his car when 2 men on a motorcycle rode up and shot him twice in the head. The shooters were later confronted by 2 policemen on foot patrol, but got away after a brief gun battle. First rush to Medical Associates Hospital, Ogilvy was transferred to the University Hospital, where he later succumbed to his injuries. Dr. John McCartney, consultant neurosurgeon at the Kingston Public Hospital, would later testify that he had examined Ogilvy on the afternoon of June 16, 1977, and found that Ogilvy died as a result of brain damage resulting from a bullet wound. At the time of his death, he had been in the midst of conducting an audit. People, I want you to listen to this keenly. People, my Jamaican people, worldwide. And before I go any further, we are going to show the difference between the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party. Because in 1977, it was, of course, Michael Manley ruling. But Michael Manley ensured under the PNP government, ensured that justice was done, that the guilty culprits paid the penalty. You hear what I said, people? That the People's National Party ensured, when the People's National Party realized the level of corruption that was taking place, of course, the permanent secretary was sent to investigate the corruption. As I said, when it comes to corruption, the People's National Party deal with it. We have seen where the People's National Party have investigated and have sentenced more than 7 Jamaica Labour Party members of Parliament to prison because the People's National Party, when it comes to corruption, of course, they're going to deal with it. Now, let me make that straight. Right? Let us read back this over. At the time of his death, he had been in the midst of conducting an audit of a housing project in the deprived East Kingston community of McGregor Gully, where it was alleged that some 1.9 million was spent on the project in just 6 weeks, apparently overshooting budget targets. Now, people, does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
Why am I asking the question if this sounds familiar? Many of the projects that Andrew Holness have been doing now, including Cornwall Regional Hospital, budget overrun. Budget overrun. But why it is important to emphasize on that? Now, Audery Sewell was working on this project. Bear that in mind, people. That Audery Sewell was working on this particular project. I want people to understand what I'm saying here. Where it was alleged that 1.9 million was spent on the project in just 6 weeks, apparently overshooting budget targets. It is against the background that in June 1980, a jury of 12, after hearing evidence, convicted a former superintendent of works, Weston Dyer. Let us stop that right then and there. Weston Dyer, my people, was convicted for this wicked, callous murder on the permanent secretary. But let us ask the question, who is Weston Dyer?
Lord of mercy.
Jamaican people, let me say this to you. Weston Dyer is the father of Audery Dyer Sewell. Audery Sewell doesn't use his father's surname any at all. Her father's surname any at all. If you look on anything that she has been doing, she carries her middle name, Audery V. Sewell. Weston Dyer is the father of Audery Sewell. And Audery Sewell was a part of this project. Weston Dyer, we are going to read and you're going to see who is Weston Dyer. Weston Dyer of 17 Florida Avenue, Independence City, St. Catherine, on charges of conspiracy to murder and incitement to murder arising out of the death of the ministry's permanent secretary. Dyer was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment at hard labor on the conspiracy to murder charge and 6 years imprisonment on the incitement to murder charge. The sentences to run concurrently. The main witness in the case, Winston Reed, of an East Kingston address, testified in the number 2 Home Circuit Court before the late Justice Chambers that on several occasions he had heard the accused Dyer saying to other persons that Ogilvy must dead, as he was the one who had stopped the money from flowing. My Jamaican people, want to hear that?
Oh my God.
The father of corruption, this dinner. Want to hear that? Reed, who described himself as Dyer's right-hand man, said that he became acquainted with Weston Dyer during the accused man's visit to the McGregor Gully construction site. He said he had ingratiated himself with Dyer, telling him that he knew the runnings. around the area and could control the youth man then. Want to hear that, people? Reed's job thereafter, he testified, was to control the men in the gully and pay them. And that was how he had come to call himself Dyer's finance minister. Want to hear that, people? He also said that Dyer was like a father to him, although he never really did any work. Reed confessed in court he was paid sums varying between 8,000 and 13,000 per week just to be Dyer's right-hand man. Want to hear that in the people? Reed also told the court about a meeting on Dyer's veranda at 17 Florida Avenue in 1976, at which he said he heard Dyer make a certain statement in the presence of one Anthony Brown and one Froggy Garden. During the course of the meeting, Ogilvy's name was mentioned, at which point Reed claimed that he walked out of the meeting and into the street. He said he heard one of the two men say, "Is that all right, boss? We will take care of the job. Just deal with us direct and leave Reed out of it." Asked what he felt the job was, Reed said that he took it to mean that Ogilvy would be killed. Reed further told the court that he did not know what Ogilvy looked like, but that one day, while they were at the Ministry of Works, Dyer pointed out the permanent secretary to him. Reed said that Dyer had been pushing it and trying to get him to influence some men in a gang he led at the time to kill Ogilvy. But he had said that that would be worries, as Ogilvy was no little grebe man, but a senior government official. And the police would find out, even if it took them 10 years. One night in early June 1977, according to Reed, Dyer told him that from December 1976, Ogilvy had stopped payment on contracts and that he needed to be killed, as he was the one preventing the government money from flowing. Reed said that he told Dyer he would have nothing to do with the killing. The motorcycle used in the murder also became a pivotal point in the court case. Reed said that he knew the bike, no one exhibit in the case, but the crawling, which he said had been on his brother's cycle 3 months before he gave it to a man named Liniment of a Rosemary Lane address, who was the owner of the cycle. Reed said also that the gas tank now on the exhibited motorcycle was not the one he had before. When asked by Patrick Atkinson, now QC and Attorney General of the attorney representing Dyer, if the crawlings now on the bike could not have been taken from another bike, we replied, "I just know this bike differently." He knew it from 1975, he said. The last time he saw the motorcycle before he came to court was on June 16, 1977, between 3:30 and 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Reed said that he was never asked to identify the cycle at the police station. We examined by the Crown Counsel Warren Richmond about what he had said about the difference in the gas tanks. Reed said that the one he remembered from before was green and carried a gauge on the cover. Asked how he had managed to get along in view of the cessation of contracts and money, we told the court that he had enough money and had been living off himself. He disagreed with a suggestion by defense counsel Atkinson that he bore the accused, right? Because he had ceased giving him contracts from December 1976, as he Reed had stopped paying his workers. He said he neither hated nor liked Dyer. Now let us take that away. Let us show the Jamaican people, right, in an interview, right, let me get this, in an interview where Audery Sewell made mention as it relates to the first working place that she worked, right? I never sent this to you, my bad on me. So let me just send it to you now and put it up. And let us show the people so that we put her there. Now, I am presenting this to describe the DNA of Audery Sewell. Remember, I'm not saying that Audery Sewell was a part of. Yeah, sorry about that.
Right, it's not. You want me to do it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let us listen to Audery Sewell. He's going to tell you her first job.
As well as the central government.
When you say career now, how many years are we talking about in the public service?
Over 40 years.
Wow.
Over 40 years. I've not worked formally anywhere besides the public service. My first love was nursing, and I had applied to pursue a nursing career, but there were aspects that I could not deal with. For example, I was afraid of blood. I would just fall apart. But I loved nursing because, you know, I thought that that is what I wanted to do, to help to take care of people. And then I was inspired next to pursue a career in teaching, because at primary school level, I had some teachers who made some very significant and indelible mark on my life as a person. I just never understood until I became older why they took such personal interest in me. And I recall one of them at once, because I was a very frisky child. They used to call me in school, my teachers in primary school, mosquito picnic, because I was all over the place, very active and hyperactive, I would say. And one told me once that she saw that I had potential and it was her responsibility to extract it. And so I decided, okay, I will go into teaching. And that's when, after I left high school, I didn't go to sixth form because there was an unfortunate incident at my school with some sixth formers the year before my group.
That's with school.
Their technical high school with the great Ben Francis. And they suspended the sixth form program. So I went to work, and my first job, temporary job, was in a ministry. Okay. While there, I applied to go to Shorter Teachers College, and I was accepted.
Where she spoke as it relates to her first job was in a ministry, right? Doesn't want to state the ministry. Now, my people, let us show you how Andrew Honest used Audery Sewell. And you're going to see on the next clip that Andrew Honest employed Audery Sewell 2008. Now let me take you through this, people. Andrew Honest's corruption started in 2008. Remember that the investigation, remember that the Integrity Commission investigators' timeline of investigation is between the period 2007 to 2009. 2008 is where the high corruption of Andrew Honest started, right? Because Andrew Honest now have the key. You know, who was the permanent secretary for the Ministry of Education, Audery Sewell. My Jamaican people, we are not making up this. We are going to show you that in 2008, when Andrew Holness breached the procurement rules, Audery Sewell would have known everything. Audery Sewell would have signed off on everything. Audery Sewell would have known that the breach of the procurement rules was done. At the time that that investigation was done, it was only one person bid, which was Gavin, breaching of the procurement rules. But who was the permanent secretary who allowed it to happen? Audery Sewell. Let us pull that document. Jamaica Gleaner, Madam Cabinet Secretary Report. You see, Andrew Holness believe that he's smart and playing his chess, putting his men in respective places. Now, Madam Cabinet Secretary reports for duty because Andrew Holness promoted her to become now the Cabinet Secretary, awarding her for everything that she had done, awarding her to hand him the key to the people's treasury. Newly appointed Cabinet Secretary Audery Sewell says her assignment as head of the country's civil service presents a new opportunity to perform and give of her best to Jamaica. Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Monday announced the appointments of Sewell, retired Army Chief Lieutenant General Rocky Mead, and Arlene Williams to pivotal positions within the government. This is how Andrew Holness moved around the men then. Right? Rocky Mead, you understand, to be now the permanent secretary in the Prime Minister office, because he's going to now promote Audery Sewell, right, as the cabinet ministry now, to responsible for all permanent secretaries. So now what Andrew Holness has now is what we call a master key, because Audery Sewell is now the cabinet secretary that is responsible for all permanent secretaries. I want people to understand. Mead, who is on his third assignment in under a year, is to assume the role of permanent secretary in the office of the Prime Minister. This is how Andrew Holness positioning himself, right? While Williams will take up a similar post in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. So will serve as permanent secretary for both portfolios. Those both portfolios, right, being hit with billions of dollars unaccounted for. I am thankful for the opportunity to serve at another level of the civil service. Sewell, the first woman to be cabinet secretary in Jamaica history. Yes, Andrew Holness awarded her the first woman, but why was she given that post? Right? Because, of course, she was now handing the key to the people's treasury to Andrew Holness. As I come to Sewell, my journey has been a very long, interesting, and rewarding one, notwithstanding some challenges. Might be one of the challenges from 1977. Along the way, being given this opportunity is another chance for me to perform and to give of my best service to our country, she added. The news release from the Office of the Prime Minister said Sewell, who has served over 40 years, going way back into 1977, right, in the public service, brings a wealth of experience and exceptional qualifications to her new role as cabinet secretary. As you hear how Andrew Holness put it up, because now Andrew Holness, right, is now going to get the master key. Throughout her distinguished career, she has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the development of Jamaica, not to the development of Jamaica. Andrew Holness, correct that. To the development of you, Andrew Holness. When you came into the politics, you did not have one business. Audery Sewell contribution did not go to the development of Jamaica. It goes to the development of you, Andrew Holness, being a billionaire now, as it relates to the level of corruption. Right? And wavering commitment to the development of Andrew Holness through her what? Exceptional leadership and dedication. Right? Now, her qualification include a Master of Science in Human Resource Development and a Bachelor of Science in Management Studies from the University of the West Indies. Additionally, she holds a certificate in Management Studies from the UWI and an advanced certificate in Educational Administration and Leadership awarded jointly by the Swedish Institute for National Development and the Vocational Training and Development Institute. Sewell has also participated in international high-level studies and research methodology courses at the University of Michigan. Her career as a permanent secretary began in what? People, 2008. Evidence, number one. Her career as permanent secretary began in 2008. Where? At the Ministry of Education. With this being said, during the investigation of the Integrity Commission is where Andrew Holness influenced several contracts to govern. But who was the permanent secretary? And why the permanent secretary was the focus of the Integrity Commission investigation? She should have been investigated. Her signature would have to be an approval. But she has seen none of the corruption. So here it is. Her career as a permanent secretary began in 2008 at the Ministry of Education, while Andrew Holness was the Minister of Education. In 2011, she was reassigned to the Ministry of Transport. People, also billions of dollars missing from these places, transport, works, and housing. And when we see all of these situations as it relates to housing, and we see billions of dollars taken up and given to DEXIM, we see all of that corruption that happened to NHT. We see all of those corruption. And later in February 2016, she was appointed to the same capacity of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. All these areas, billions of dollars unaccounted for.
Yeah.
In that same year, she took on the dual role of the permanent secretary for both ministries, serving all in the office of the Prime Minister. We also have the office of the Prime Minister is one of those places that billions of dollars unaccounted for. Audery Sewell was also the permanent secretary for the office of the Prime Minister. And the office of the Prime Minister, including other areas, where she has surfaced billions of dollars unaccounted for. Let us bring the evidence to the people. Me is currently serving as ambassador plenipotentiary with responsibility of national strategic initiatives, a post to which he was appointed in February. He had declined the post of cabinet secretary because Andrew Holness knows that he couldn't have given him, but this is the strategy and the tactics that he used to make it look like, you understand, he wanted was to give him, but he knows very well that Audery Sewell was going to get this post. Now, concern raised about the constitutionality because Andrew Holness know that he can't put him there. So then, the next card that Andrew Holness is playing, I want people to understand, right, as it relates to the chess game that he's playing. Constitutionally, of that appointment, the cabinet secretary is the head of the civil service and its most senior policy advisor. So then, when it comes to breaching of the procurement rules and guidelines, with Audery Sewell at the helm, Andrew Holness cannot do nothing wrong. Audery Sewell will not see any corruption that the Prime Minister is committing. Andrew Holness is not saying, Audery Sewell is not saying nothing where the Prime Minister is pilfering from the People's Treasury. The Gleaner reported that there were questions and concerns in relation to Section 92, subsection 1 of the Constitution, which stipulates that the person appointed cabinet secretary must come from the public service. And Andrew Holness know that. That was just a chess game that he was doing. Made and retired from the military, which is not considered a part of the public service. Andrew Holness know that. Meanwhile, Williams, the OPM release said, brings a diverse range of expertise to her new role because Andrew Holness wanted to put her there. So I want you to show you Andrew Holness' divergent tactics, and that is one of the reasons why I played the first two clips to show you the hypocrite Andrew Holness is, right? The diversion method and the skillfulness as it relates to him, you understand, defected. He is a very, very skillful liar. She has been instrumental, it said, in spearheading major capital projects and overseeing significant spends in the Ministry of National Security and Jamaica Constabulary Force. Here in the Minister of National Security and the Jamaica Constabulary Force, billions of dollars unaccounted for. The Prime Minister has tasked these individuals to improve service, delivery, and efficiency in government. This with a view to ensure the significant gains made by the administration are felt by the Jamaicans from all walks of life. The OPM release said, don't listen to Andrew Holness. Cannot is scammer. Take that away on it. Now, let us get to our panel. And then when the panel finishes, we are going to show now why Zara Burton is investigating as it relates to a different situation and asking, wanting to know, right, if the cabinet secretary signed off or authorized that deal. We are breaking them down in chronological sequence for you people. Now, Pastor Rick, what say you on the matter?
Well, first of all, I love the way how you chronologically dissect and expose more criminality of the Prime Minister. And I prayerfully, I hope that Zara Burton get the ATI requests as it relates to the signature that was promised or that was requested by the 18th of this month, which was Friday past. But Friday was a holiday, so yesterday was a holiday. So hopefully she has it today in her email. Now, this goes to show you the pattern. You know, when we're looking for criminality, you have to identify a pattern. And, you know, we have always said that the Prime Minister is a criminal with no apology. And these are the reasons. I mean, it's clear as daylight. The scheme, the level of criminality and corruption, the plan that he planned to deceive and to enrich himself. The procurement process is the gateway for embezzlement of taxpayers' money in Jamaica. We all know that. Everybody know that. And for him to appoint a cabinet secretary that gives him the green light to use the procurement process and the taxpayers' fund to do these things where money is unaccounted for. Let's go back to the Ministry of Education. You know, as you pointed out, in 07 to the period of 09, Robert Garvin received so many government contracts from the prime minister, and he was the only bidder, and the prime minister received kickbacks from the contracts that he gave to Gavin, which is corruption. Then Royal Reed, who was before the court, who was the Minister of Education also, and we know that Ms. Sewell was placed as the cabinet secretary in the Ministry of Education, yet Royal Reed is before the court for $55 million unaccounted for. According to the Auditor General report, the Office of the Prime Minister has $12.2 billion unaccounted for. According to the Auditor General report, the Ministry of Education has $920 billion, almost $1 trillion. Of the $3 trillion that's unaccounted for, stolen, chopped, missing, gone, whichever descriptive adjective we want to use to describe it, it's all the same. Almost $1 trillion is stolen from the Ministry of Education. 920 billion, just need 80 more billion to put on it to run it off to $1 trillion. But yet, Audery Sewell, is the permanent secretary, that she should be held accountable along with the prime minister, because the bucks really stop with the prime minister. And for him to appoint her there, it was a strategic move. I wouldn't say that he's a good chess player. I'm sorry, I'm not giving him no credit. He might be a chess player, but he's a clumsy chess player, because he leaves clue, evidence, crumbs, you name it, for investigator like Sir Byron to identify. Investigator like Sir Rattigan to identify. Investigators like the Integrity Commission to identify. Investigators like Father Lonesome to identify. And even bloggers like Andre Stevenson could have picked up on this. So he's not a good chess player. He's a clumsy chess player that leave clues behind for all of us in the space of social media to be able to identify the level of corruption and criminality that he possessed. Now, Audery Sewell needs to go before the Integrity Commission. Sewell needs to go before the Integrity Commission. She has a lot of questions to answer to. And I'm not sure if the investigator that reached out to her, we don't know. But if they have not, she will be a good person to flip. You want to get to the top, dog, up at the top, you have to flip from the bottom and work your way up, right? Right, Sir Byron, as an investigator. That's how the feds work. So when them hold someone below, them flip them and get information out of them to reach the one on the top. So in my estimation and analysis of this story, Audery Sewell, signature should be on everything as it relates to the procurement process, funds coming out of the taxpayers' fund, exactly, and out of the prime minister's office. So she needs to answer a lot of questions. We know the prime minister is a criminal already. I mean, Jesus, even SSL money, 4.5 billion gone, 31 million US dollar gone. I mean, $3 trillion from the treasury gone. And out of that, as I said, the Ministry of Education has $920 billion. So did Audery Sewell approve these funds? Where is the receipts? Where is the invoice? Where's the expenditures? Where is the money in the Prime Minister's office of $12.2 billion that is unaccounted for? And then the last point is, you know, her father served time for conspiracy of murder of a permanent secretary. And with her being a permanent secretary and working in with her father back then, not saying that she's involved, please don't misunderstand, but she should know better than allowing herself to be used by this prime minister to fill his craw, and so much money of taxpayers' funding is gone. So she has to come before the Integrity Commission. She has to answer a lot of financial questions. She needs to go before FID, the Financial Investigational Division in Jamaica, and answer questions as it relates to the funds from is unaccounted for from the Ministry of Education and from all of, the Prime Minister have a lying spirit where he says that the procurement process is slow. Sometimes it can take years. We need to find a way to speed up the process. And he gave all these weird excuses when he has the reign of government that can pull any strings he wishes to at any point. But yet,
he's the government.
Right, he's the government, but yet he makes all these excuses as if he's talking to some first or second graders, as if we don't have any knowledge or understanding of how the process works. And so this is where a lot of the embezzlement of the Jamaica taxpayer money is vanished. The procurement process. It is a pool of corruption, embezzlement, and criminality in the Prime Minister, in the government in Jamaica. Back over to you, Sir Byron.
Wonderful input, and I like you said something that is very important, right? Which is, I believe that the Integrity Commission must now put Audery Sewell under their microscope.
Right.
The permanent secretary needs to be put under her microscope, because if you notice as it relates to the evidence, what the evidence is suggesting, that all the areas that she becomes a permanent secretary, billions of dollars missing. I know that Melting Pot is coming down with the sledge. I don't want to delay. Melting Pot, take it away.
Yes, my brother. When we look at Audery Sewell, we see a player that is being drafted from obscurity to prominence. And I mean, this is how Andrew Holness like to play his game. What Andrew Holness have done with Audery Sewell is to make her a person of interest in all this corruption that he carry out.
Exactly.
Because Audery Sewell was a permanent secretary in the Minister of Education, which at the time Andrew Holness was in charge of. And at the time, Andrew Holness also recruited Ruel Reid as his advisor in the Ministry of Education. Now, when you look at the two names now,
exactly,
and you make the comparison,
exactly,
you see where corruption lies with both of them. And both of them were handpicked by Andrew Holness. Both these people were handpicked by Andrew Holness. In the case of Audery Sewell and Ruel Reid. But what Andrew did wasn't surprising, because everybody know that Andrew Holness was of a criminal mentality individual. Right? Because when you link to Edward Seaga as being the progeny of Edward Seaga, then you're also linked to corruption. So that chain of corruption that attached to Andrew Holness.
Yes.
But here is Audery Sewell now being graduated from permanent secretary to cabinet secretary. And with her portfolio role now, as Byron eloquently said, she handed over the master key to Andrew Holness. Because that's how Andrew Holness can get him on the master key. You have to have a trusted lieutenant alongside you, where you know all your secret will be kept, but also manifest. So Audery Sewell, alongside Andrew Holness, were carefully planning how to defraud all the ministry. It's as if Andrew would say to Audery, well, look, I want you to touch that ministry. And she would. And when she get another order to touch another ministry, she would. She never back down based on what we are seeing. And this is why under this period where she is involved, we are seeing $3 trillion unaccounted for. And as Pastor Ricky rightfully said, she has knowledge of all receipt and transaction from every ministry, but more so from the Ministry of Education. So we are looking at an individual that must be requested for an interview with the Integrity Commission. We are looking at a person that has hid her true identity for a long time, pretending not to have any affiliation with the name Dyer, because the name Dyer would resurrect a certain public discussion, because the name Dyer was also linked to the number 3 of a permanent secretary in the case of Edward Ted Ogilvie in the 70s. So everything spelled corruption with this individual, Audery Sewell, holding down a very strategic position within the ministry that Andrew Holness preside over. Because when you move an individual from permanent secretary, it's like, well, okay, come and wet your feet in the water, get a taste of what is to come later ahead. And then once you get a taste of the medicine of corruption, you may put her up on the top shelf, cabinet secretary, in charge of all permanent secretary now.
Crazy.
Crazy. And I mean, okay, where is the proof in the pudding that she is the person that should hold this post? We don't see it. Because every ministry practically were defrauded.
Yeah, but Milton, but let me strengthen what you're saying. In terms of she being propelled to the cabinet secretary, right? When she's the permanent secretary to all those areas that billions of dollars being accounted for, on what merit that Andrew Holness promote her to cabinet secretary? Because she has been loyal to Andrew Holness, and in Andrew Holness the key to the treasury. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, man, I'm lieutenant, man. And she demonstrate a high level of loyalty to him. So he could trust her wholeheartedly. And that's why I'm elevate her. And that's why, it's a long kept association that Andrew have with Sewell. So Andrew did not want to replace her. He wanted to keep her along just the same way him keep DPP. But when you look, both Sewell and DPP was appointed in 2008 as well. So that's where the team was assembled during that period of time. Andrew carefully assembled the team. And you would think, well, I would have gone for some male players. No, he went for 2 female strikers. Both of them are striker. If we use the football analogy, both of them are 2 top strikers, female.
Along with the corruption prosecutor, hold on, along with the corruption prosecutor, 3 females.
Well, there you go again. There you go again. So it can't be a coincidence, Byron.
No.
And viewers and listeners out there, it cannot be a coincidence. Because Andrew knows very well his evilness that he possesses and his authoritative leadership when it comes to dealing with women. He never want to deal with no man in those street circumstance. So him just get 3 women, put them there, bribe them with money and corruption and control the thing. And this is why Jamaica declined under Andrew Holness leadership. Because Andrew Holness leadership is bedrock and tied to corruption. It has no more substance to him tenure as Prime Minister, because Andrew is not a Prime Minister, I keep saying it. He's not Prime Minister material and he's not surplus to requirement. So you have a waste man as the Prime Minister for Jamaica right now. Make a put up him title. Andrew, a waste man. Waste the country resource. Waste the country civil servant. Because them run gone. It's a waste on the Andrew administration. The money gone. The country are going to China as we speak right now, with Chinese operative demonstrating a high level of entrepreneurship in our country. So everything where Andrew Holness do, it just shows that him weak, him pathetic, not Prime Minister material, and not surplus to requirement. Because Andrew did not take the office to represent the people of Jamaica and the country Jamaica. Andrew took the office of Prime Minister to enrich himself and a few cronies that him have around him. This is the service that Jamaican get from this Prime Minister for the past 9 years going on to 10. A service that has disenfranchised even the working population in Jamaica. This is why our trained nurses and doctors and policemen and some highly skilled individual has migrated. This is why we saw the mass exodus of Jamaicans trying to go through the border to get to America. Because there is nothing in Jamaica under this government. The only thing that Jamaican has been embracing under this government is austerity and corruption. Nothing else. So as a result of all these new revelation now that has been brought to bear with Andrew Holness, Audery Sewell, it shows that this is a masterminded and well-crafted initiative taken by Andrew Holness to defraud the country of billions and trillions of dollars. And so going forward, I am saying once again to Andrew Holness and to the GLP hierarchy, Andrew Holness' face should not be on the ballot paper, neither his name. And there are some more members within the cabinet that if they have any form of justification to give to Jamaicans right now, them could just take themselves out of politics. Them to recluse themselves from being public servant because they know who they are. They know who they are. But the focus point is on Andrew Holness, because nowhere else in the world where true democracy is the order of the day, Andrew Holness could never be still serving as Prime Minister of Jamaica.
That's right.
Andrew Holness would have had to vacate that office long time ago. Long time ago. From the same time when him come back on us and the fanfare there at the airport down to Trouble Zion. That was the making and the highlighting of who Andrew Holness is. I've never seen a Prime Minister returning back home from whether an official visit or a personal visit, but on his way back home, being greeted by a large crowd of thugs. All those people that were there masquerading as Christian, there are thugs supporting a nasty Prime Minister. leave them yard, pack up at the airport, make it look like some farmer demonstration or political uprising was occurring at the international airport.
Exactly.
Greeting this garbage prime minister and singing "Don't You Trouble Zion." Who is Zion? Zion is a peaceful place. Zion can never be anti-holiness.
Right.
So if you're going to trouble Zion, you have to trouble Zion in terms of what Zion represents. Zion represents peace, it don't represent corruption. And in Andrew Holiness, we see a man that is staying in corruption. From him head right down to him feet. This guy, Mr. 28 bank account, should be behind bars. He should have done about 4 years or 5 years now. Yes.
That's
because
true.
I mean, things have been brought to prominence for a while now, you know. And as I said, in any jurisdiction that real democracy exists, this guy could never be a prime minister, and this guy would have been behind bars, and many more of his counterpart, because these men have taken Jamaica down an alleyway that is darker than midnight. It is pitch black. Right now, Jamaica cannot survive under the GLP Andrew Holness administration. So the only thing that is there as, you know, true salvation for the Jamaican people is to have the People's National Party now in the hot seat, steering the country toward a path of success and growth development. And I yield back the floor.
All right. Thank you. Now we have Sister P on the line. I know when Sister P called, we have to make the entrance for Sister P. So let me talk to you. Sister P, you're on. Go ahead, Sister P.
Good night, building block. Big up yourself, Pastor Ricky.
Good night, Sister P. Big up.
All right.
Listen, Sister P.
The entire world who are watch, ride and fall. Look here now. There's a trend happening in Jamaica. I live here. And I am calling on the diaspora. One, the Prime Minister to be, the judges and the Governor General, the private sector, and all Iraqi people in the land of Jamaica. We, the Jamaican people, are asking you to cut the Chinese. It is getting too much. I would like to pass and my great-grandchildren come be a slave to Chinese. And if we don't put it a stop to it, this is how it's gonna be. How dare you make a Chinese come here and open a garage? And a fixed car. Whisper China make car. Japanese make car. Germany make car. We have with German school out there who have a garage and train people, mechanic at the heights that could learn, get them degree of a German school, work in a Jamaica, go further. No, the Chinese them come here. No, and no say accident go there, and no it go there. Everything about China is fake. So we're not getting a genuine parts. We not get to see the clock up, and by it turn on the road. You hear how much run off the road. And away from that, the Chinese, them are too much in Jamaica. I've never traveled. I'm not ashamed to say I never traveled. But I want somebody tell me which part of China, a Jamaican or a Caribbean black man have a business down there where Chinese are going up by and come out and go do business. No, this is getting too much. And Mr. Andrew Wallace, make I tell you something. I come like you're sick. The more you open your mouth, sir, and the more you make people hate you. You stress out the police them because you have some good loyal service member, man and woman. And with you and arrest and a few little criminal, it make the whole entire people look on police as nothing. You make me afraid of police that a child, 15-year-old, can say to a policeman, me no love police. And look how they do the woman pick me. Look how they beat up in the boy. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Chang, Mr. Blake, a young little youth at 15-year-old, coming from school, in a uniform, you stop him, you search him, you don't find nothing upon him. And he said, me don't like the police. And that give him the right to beat up the woman like that. Can you tell that young man next couple of years to join the police force? Can you even tell that young man to like police? What kind of Jamaica, sir, you are doing? Can you tell that mother, grandmother, father, uncle to come vote for you? Tell me now, as a mother, I sit here and look at my 14-year-old and as God be me witness. If it was my picnic, I certainly know I would be a dead woman because somebody would have to pick him up. Imagine you send your picnic to school. Yes, stop him and search him because to what happen to what you say happens. Nothing wrong with that. Just stop him. Good afternoon, young man. Can I see the bag? Whatever. He gave back freely. And you know, find nothing because it's another Mario D. Don't come in again. Wait. And you're the punch. Yeah, a campaign about oh, you're going to make hospital and you got this. And this is the reason why people keep you in. Keep you in for what? But let me tell you something. You have to turn up another atrocity to it. It's payback time. So the best thing we can advise you, just go down by your knee. If God don't even look by you, and go face up to all of the atrocity you do. Because just say you go to Adventist church. Adventist church that thou shalt not thief, thou shalt not lie. Remember Exodus 20, and that them teach mostly in Adventist church. Brother, you see wickedest, cruelest thing, and you turn around and come call PNP dog. Eh? Look at you, you have more dog more in the body else. Because we can tell you, you have some mongrel dog, and them are the bull, and every dog jump them. And your prime minister, you have two fathers. You understand? You out of that. You know, no manners, you know, not about you can call people about PMP as like when dog around the vehicle. Shut up in the mouth, man. And every time you talk, you know, they're right Chuck, Edmund Bartlett, Babsy Grange, who know in a Labour Party for so long. What is it Andrew Wallace put on? Why not care? Man up to him. I said, sir, this now happen, this now good or good. You know, rather sit down there because of lights and burns. And you know, spring down your whole out. Imagine you're serving a company or institution, say, how much down here, and you come out like Trump against win. You not come out with nothing but a name. People here to the buy. I'm going to go full one day with banana sense. I want to poor people like me say, where I want to go on yard. I don't know, give to no black brother. Let me tell you something. If you understand, that's why they take out civic out of school. But if you listen, mistake, loan to money, read for yourself. The Chinese, them do not pay tax. So they can't carry on the whole of China because they can't own. And if a black man had been for 5 cents, then can be for 2 cents. Because the black man have to pay tax and have to pay this. While the Chinese do not pay those things. When the Chinese are buying a bulk in a container. If a black man have a little show him buy a bag of flour, 2 bags of flour, then buy a container of flour. So they can't sell it cheaper than the black man. Support the black man, man. Don't make 5 cents and 10 cents. It doesn't pay. In the long run, we gotta suffer it. We are gonna suffer with picnic. Them are come growing at Jamaica becomes back slave. to the Chinese. It is happening already. It happened at check. It happened at the wholesale level. So people wake up. My God of Christ, what else do you want to see? And you want this come out of the parliament, man. Your woman left with you. Now you put them, come out, man. Come on. Shame. Forward, come on. Move. We can't have you. We can't have you. Where will you come from? Another man to me, I can win, brother. Your wife is worse than you. Because she's a woman. How would you feel this in the police? Beat up your son. Because you're a privileged man to be a prime minister. You know, we see Pope dead there. Nobody could save him. King Martha dead there Wednesday. Yeah, but then one day too. Yeah, but then everybody is appointed and come out once to die. What can they cook upon resurrection? My God, Christ, man, come to all this. PSOJ, Judge, Key. But I tell you something. He's a young man. I understand that he's a father. What you don't like for yourself, do not give it to a next person. A mother cry. Imagine you send your child to school. Your picnic have good picnic cut by the security force. When we should have run to the police, but we have to run from them. And the other part of security are the police them. It's confused, they are frustrated because they are doing their job good. And people are calling them wicked police and they've done their job. You're stressing them out because they are not a part of your corruption. And this woman, where's she walking and the
Cabinet Secretary. Cabinet
no,
Secretary.
the one when the police were going around
Sorry.
crap. Yeah, woman there.
Oh, okay.
Police woman, let me tell you something. You, it's like a dog to your own vomit and a hog to your wallet. You're a woman. You have some good woman who never give birth, but they are more nicer than a woman who give birth. And you sit there and you watch all the atrocity done by the state to the people them. And you say nothing when you come at them, but do not go strike. But let me tell you, once a police,
Twice a
civilian. Once a police, you remember 20 youths, all the rage and the doing do, and when he left, the police force somebody gonna squeeze him out. And nobody know how to squeeze him out. Whether it could be a same police, retired, present. What he gone? Lady, you wake up. We tired down. We don't know who tired down, but we know me tired down because we have beaten grand beaten. So with that, I heal back. And we are begging diaspora, all of our walks of life. When the shoes change, Mark Golding, me call you by name, Mark Jefferson Golding, you need to have a meeting with the diaspora and involve them in everything we happen in Jamaica. We want a chain of supermarket from them. We want hotel from them. We want pharmacy from them. We want government from them too. We have diaspora over there. We have their dirty money. We want to invest in our country. Buy Jamaicans, farm Jamaicans. And we take the Chinese and lock them out. And during the COVID of diaspora, hold up this diaspora, we want to know demand it. And we the Jamaican people, we are going to stand up. We don't know. We might not have no money because we barely can't feed ourselves. But whatever it takes, we are going to stand up. We don't know. We want to know to come down here and work business, wholesale, gas station, pharmacy, every essential thing. If my private hospital too, we want to know come down and work. So if you know sister and brother come and have $10, you can still get help within $5. Demand that from marketing and marketing. Those are the way we are look. The diaspora must play a role in a Jamaica development. Who are here, so we are got dance for a supermarket. Who are got dance for a pharmacy. We tired of people are coming out of the country, go suck out with money and carry gun and abuse me and beat me up and do with everything that is bad. It doesn't for them a family, and here them come from. We want them back to come make them big event. We want back to God's club. We want back with there for them. And partner with business. That we can get them. We sponsor one school. Chinese now do them sit there. If I dance for them, you can do business, then I sponsor one school, sponsor one football club, sponsor one this. And so much Highland would never have much fun. Because they don't have work. Or because you don't give them no work. They're hungry. Everybody can turn them over in a body man and turn them in a criminal. To tell them one. We're frustrated, I don't know. Frustrated. So I turn back to the panel. And diaspora, me a beg you know. When the shoes change, demand Mark Golden to put on that. You don't want a seat in a parliament. They object. And to say yes to things. I say yes, we will, and we will not. That you want.
All right.
Okay, and I will back.
Thank you, Sister Pat, for that.
Blessing, Sister Pat.
I mean, no one, no one could have disagreed as it relates to diaspora interest in having business in Jamaica. Of course, because diaspora has been supporting the economy in a very strong and vibrant way. So what Sister Patty said, 100% agree in terms of what she said. Now that we shape the whole thing as it relates to Andrew owners, right? You know, using the permanent secretary, particularly where Audery Sewell is concerned. Now we're going to go back now to the Zara Burton investigation so you can have a better understanding as it relates to why Zara Burton is investigating that. And you're going to realize that within the arrangement, right, the permanent secretary, right, within the ministry, right, refused to sign it. But however, you're going to see how Favor Williams, right, managed, you understand, to go in and get it. It's just a level of corruption, the breaching of procurement guidelines. People, trust me, it's not funny. Andrew owns just every room. And as I said, he now has the master key because Audery Sewell is the cabinet secretary. Now, let us get into 18 degrees north, and then we ask the panel to break this down. 18 degrees north. Transparency of public-private partnership, and that is what Zara Burton need. Some level of transparency. The people of Jamaica need to know what's going on. You understand? The people of Jamaica, yes, the people of Jamaica elect this prime minister, and at the same time, the prime minister is doing things right and not wanting the public to be aware of what he's doing. Transparency of public-private partnerships in question as Jamaican government blocks access to 14.75 billion Vinci-led water deal. We have to get back to this because Jamaica people, this is serious. And this happened April 17, 2025. Here he is. The suppression of information, right? Because, you know, I mean, I don't know how these people allow themselves, you understand, to be corrupted. You understand? I mean, Andrew Owner's level of corruption, his tentacles of corruption just stretch all over the government. And that is one of the reasons why he made sure that he captured 19 of those critical offices under his portfolio. It's not funny, people. It's not funny. This is dictatorship, you know. Dictatorship unfolding in front of our eyes. This week, 18 degrees north is expecting the outcome of a review requested from Kevin Carr, acting president of Jamaica's National Water Commission, regarding a denied access to information ATI request. When you hear that, people, when you see what the Andrew Owners led government is doing, right? The Jamaican people don't know what going on, and yet He is now seeking a third term. Just look with this particular investigation here, the Jamaican people, right, not to know what is going on, no transparency, right, no checks and no balance. Now the request made by 18 Degrees North was for a copy of the NWC Public-Private Partnership Agreement with Royal Cobra Water Limited, the private consortium led by French construction giant Vinci that's supposed to construct and operate a new treatment plant in St. Catherine to add 15 million imperial gallons of water each day to the nation's water supply. The denial on March 14 followed a February expose by 18 Degrees North that revealed the project cost had quietly ballooned from $76 million. Now, let me stop right as well. So then we go back to the original document that I presented as it relates to Audery Sewell's father, right? As it relates to cost overrun. You see this. This is what I'm saying, people. You're seeing it in every area of Andrew Holness administration when it comes to these contracts. And now, who he has at the helm? Audery Sewell, who is now the cabinet secretary that's responsible for all permanent secretaries. So I'm looking on trying to understand where Zara is going. 18 Degrees North that reveal the project cost had quietly ballooned from $76 million US in the people, which is 12.22 billion in 2022 to US what? $92 million. 14.75 billion, which are still not being announced to the public. So as it relates to the whole criminality, but we go back to Audery Sewell's father, you understand? Kill the permanent secretary. You understand? Because the permanent secretary, they investigate something like this. This was what? This was situation like this. The permanent secretary was investigating and got killed by Audery Sewell. Huh? By Audery Sewell's father. Got killed by Audery Sewell's father. Look at that. This was what he was investigating, cost overrun, which has still not been announced to the public. The increased cost came after Minister of Finance. Listen now, people. You understand? And Favor Williams now, I don't know because, I mean, Andrew wanna just take her to Tufenke. She just a living Tufenke. Increased cost came after Minister of Finance, Favor Williams, in December 2024, overrode, listen to people, overrode objections from Darlene Morrison, who is the permanent secretary. The permanent secretary don't agree with this. See it? Look point in the paper. The increased cost came after Minister of Finance, Favor Williams, in December 2024, overruled objections from Darlene Morrison, who is the permanent secretary. The most senior technocrats in her ministry, and approved a revised weighted average interest rate of 15.16%, up from 9.5%. We can't make up this paper. We can't make up this. This is how we all pro-backs are going. This is the way our pro-backs gone out deep in the corruption. Even as the bulk of financing was coming from international lenders, Invest and France Development Agency, Proparco, and global rates were declining. Even though global rates declining, people, we must understand the report that you are reading. That in spite of global rates declining, Williams, Probox, no business with that. Probox agree. You understand? For real. Oh God, man. Yo, we can't go through this, man. The level of wickedness and the honest administration and look at Jamaican people. It's not tough here, so. Just imagine, the people must suffer, man. The people must suffer, more pressure and you only support. Hey, boy, I'm going to tell you, say, this, me no see no, hey, listen to me. When people hear me talk, I tell people, say, Andrew Honest is 100% pure evil. You don't believe what I say, man. Now, the European Central Bank just this morning cut its main interest rate for the third time. You know? But Andrew Honest government say, no, we not give them the benefit of that. Raise it up on them. This year to 2.25% in response to slowing growth and then a Trump tariff. What do you man? Andrew Honest not look what them at up here. In the care. Andrew Honest to put on the pressure. Boy, I'm sorry for me. I'm not lying, I'm sorry for me. Though the Jamaican government won't directly shoulder the debt, RCWL will recoup its investment by selling water to the government-owned NWC, which will impact, look, listen to what my impact, which will impact the money losing entity and potentially consumers who the consume it. The Jamaicans. The Jamaicans have to pay a higher rate. The Jamaicans will have to pay a higher rate, which is why approval from the Ministry of Finance was needed in the first place. But what Val Williams do? What Val Williams do? Val Williams overrode the permanent secretary. Right? And what Audery Sewell is doing. You're going to spin out people. That's why they want to report, because Audery Sewell sign off on this.
But if you look on it, Val is not really the Minister of Finance as far as I'm concerned.
Right?
She just there as a favor.
Because you tell me now, the permanent secretary, the most senior technocrats, right, in Val ministry, which is the permanent secretary, decided, no, this is too much of a wickedness to the people. And all dirty pro-box. You understand? Who claims that people can save $2,000 out of them pay and they go buy pro-box. But can I pay the people them again? The $16,000 or $17,000 minimum wage. Eh? And people save out of that to buy pro-box. Something little head. No wonder run away. No wonder why you run away from the debate. You could
Byron, 1 second.
Yes.
Let me just say something. Don't use the 16,000. It sounds too much. Tell them the 90 at US a week.
Exactly. Exactly.
Kind of people get carried away by the figure 16,000, you know, like a something like enough. Just say the 90 at US because US will trade in now.
All right. But what's this now melting pot? But despite these implications, the NWC refused to release it. The agreement, they don't want to release it. Citing Section 20 of the ATI Act, which exempt disclosure if a document would reveal trade secrets and harm commercial interests. When you see them, you saw them work the law conveniently in their benefit, to protect and preserve them criminality. You saw them work the law conveniently, use the law to the convenience, and when Andrew Wallace, they breach the Constitution, right? In the members have to obey the constitutional laws. You understand? So you want to breach conveniently, they want to use the law conveniently to suit them in them corruption. Public-private partnerships are some of the most capital-intensive contracts in Jamaica, which each worth over 10 million, you know, to $1.58 billion, you know. During March 2024, groundbreaking of the Royal Cobra Water Treatment Plant, Prime Minister Andrew Honest hailed PPP as among the creative ways to make infrastructure investment without adding to the public debt. A whole lot of kickback just for him, you know. You hear what the Prime Minister says?
Go pay more for water.
Yeah, listen to King political kickback.
The only way that those governments knew how to do it would have been to borrow. And so what precisely, my friend? So while you may get improved water, you get more debt with it. And when you get more debt, inevitably you must get more taxes. So you will get budgets coming with more taxes. Now we have made a commitment that we're going to run the economy in such a way that we care about you, that we don't place a burden on you. And so we are going to find the creative ways of making these investments so that these investments do not become a burden on you. We are doing this, and we have read a budget where there are no new taxes to fund any of the investments that we are making in infrastructure.
This goes to show you how Andrew honest. Believe in the Jamaican people. Because he's saying no more debt is coming, and at the same time he's saying they're going to have to pay more in tax. My God, this is so vicious. Jamaica Prime Minister Andrew Holness at the Royal Potable Water Treatment Plant groundbreaking in March 2024, where he makes the case for public-private partnership as among the creative ways to fund infrastructure, to avoid adding to the public debt, so Jamaicans don't get burdened with new taxes and at the same time they are burden them because they have to pay more. My God, we can't make up this. We can't make up this. But because people tend to rely more on private sources of funding rather than on the public purse, they can bypass traditional public procurement procedures and it works like how Audery Sewell is there now as the cabinet secretary. Now watch out, people. Instead, according to the PPP policy revised in 2023, the cabinet, through the PPP units of Development Bank of Jamaica, BBJ, and the Ministry of Finance and Public Service, takes responsibility for strategic oversight of the PPP program, including policy and process. Each PPP in Jamaica must be approved by the cabinet and in interim would have signed off by Audery Sewell. So on a see how Andrew Holness, as I said earlier, now earn himself what we call a master key to the treasury. But this system of approval presents hurdles to accessing information. A basic request sent on March 14 requesting whether the rare Kuber contract had received cabinet approval. Where now you'd have seen, of course, the signature of Audery Sewell. The date of the approval and the amount approved was denied by the Cabinet Office under Section 15, subsection 1 of the ATI law, which shields cabinet documents. Are PPP supposed to be shrouded in secrecy? That is what Arms Arbor is asking. The difficulty in getting the information regarding this particular PPP agreement seems at odds with the PPP policy in Jamaica, which outlines that the government of Jamaica is committed to probity, right, and transparency in all aspects of the PPP program. So which the government is supposed to reveal the information. That is what it is saying. And that transparency procedures are the government's commitment to ensure that information about the project is available to the public. But yet, Andrew Holness' administration is suppressing this, is hiding this. The policy details that the Access of Information Act will apply to all PPP projects and PPP contracts may be published after they become effective, subject to any confidentiality requirements. It is on this basis that 18 Degrees North on March 19 requested a review of the rejection from the NWC card as allowed under the law, and on the basis that Section 11 of the ATI Act mandates that non-exempt parts of documents be shared. A similar request for a review was also requested earlier this week on April 14 from Cabinet Secretary Audery Sewell. Now here to people, that's what I'm saying. A similar request for a review was also requested earlier this week on April 14 from Cabinet Secretary Audery Sewell and the benefits that within the PPP policy, it states that the PPP list will be published after it's approved by cabinet and whether it is updated by the PP unit. And as what I said, that now that Andrew Holness have Audery Sewell promote her to cabinet secretary, Andrew Holness, as what I'm saying, has now a master key to our treasury. Take it away. Now,
here's a correction about something in the chat.
Okay, the chief technical officer in the Ministry of Finance would be the financial secretary, not the permanent secretary. Okay, thank you for that, Pauline Pike. Thank you very much for that correction. So we have to correct that. Now, so this is what we are saying here, right? As it relates to that. Now, we have seen the situation where the government is now trying to hide, right, this information. Don't want the public to know, right? And so then, of course, this is the last clip that we are presenting, and we are just asking the panel now to break it down, right? So, Pastor Ricky, what say you on the matter where that is concerned, and that is why we bring up back Zara Burton, 18 degrees now.
Yeah. Well, it goes to show you again the pattern of overflating.
Yes.
You know, cost overruns that this government is famous for. When we look at Cornwall Regional Hospital, it started out at $2 billion, then it went up to 5, 7, 10, 15, 22, then now it's at $27 billion. This is how the government get their cut. You know, they inflate the value of a project. For example, if the road costs $1 million to repair, they inflate it to $1 billion. And so they spend the 1 million and then they keep the rest for themselves. If you recall, when Hurricane Beryl came, everybody estimate was in the billions of damages. The Prime Minister had a flyover in the southern parishes on his way to St. Elizabeth, and he estimated that Hurricane Beryl that never came to Jamaica, just the outer band winds, 45 miles off the southern shores, was in the hundreds of $billions just from flying over. But yet there was no contractors on the ground doing estimate from community to community. Same thing with Fable. Her estimation for school repairs was in 11 billions. Same thing with Floyd Green, Minister of Agriculture. His estimations, and these were done like within a 3 to 7 day period, right after Beryl. So how in the world they were able to go to every zone, every city, every community, and did the assessment to estimate? But this is how they operate. They overinflate prices and scheme off of the top of it and put the rest in their pocket. Now, when you look at this Vinci Water project, you know, the public-private PPPP, the 3 Ps, they started out in an estimation in 2022 at 12.22 billion Jamaican dollars. And then it went up this last year to $14.7 billion. So you see the inflation in the numbers, but what they didn't tell you what was the purpose of the inflated value. Was it new equipment that they purchased? Was it new materials? Why was that? We never see an invoice. We just hear prices inflated to a value in the billions. And this is what this government is doing. This is why Comrade Leader Mark Golding has to do a forensic audit in all 19 government agencies and all 15 ministries, including the Office of the Prime Minister, because too much money is being stolen from the procurement process. And
serious.
When Fayeval override the permanent secretary, that is not her role. and she's stepping out of bounds right there. You know, the permanent secretary is the one who has the purse, so to speak, for government. And so you wonder what's going on in the Jamaica Labour Party. Finally, the interest rate was supposed to be 9.5%, but yet they they gave an interest rate of 12.1%. I mean, with no contingency plan in place to cut interest rate from central bank in Jamaica to ease the pressure and the costs on the consumers. One last point. In 2023, they create a fake drought and a heat wave through technology. And Matthew British and them took out, and he's the real British guy because I know Jamaica and born. Matthew British took out and his cronies took out the pumps and the pipes that water can flow easily into the homes of Jamaicans. And what they did, them have them own water trucks. Their cronies and them have their own water trucks. Talking about nepotism and cronyism that they use to truck water into the community and sell to the people. And you know, this is alarming because we live in first world countries and we don't see those kind of behaviors where the government have their own water truck, government officials have their own water trucks, their cronies have their own water trucks that they give contracts to go into communities and sell water to the people. Now, the saying is that whoever control the food and control the water will control the people. So we have to hurry up and go to the polls and vote this government out because their schemes to kill off the fish them in the Rio Cobre, to take out the water pump them and the pipes them out to the community them and put in black water tank that when it's in the heat of the sun, the chemicals that's used to make the black tank can cause harmful disease like cancer in the lives of those who are storing waters in those tanks. It is unconscionable that in 2025 they're trucking water into community for people to carry or store in their black water tank. And at the same time, they're making billions of dollars off of the sale of water. And when Jamaica is a country full of water, streams, lakes, rivers, plus surrounded by the Caribbean Sea where them can desalt the water through technology and let it become fresh drinking water. But this is a corrupt government, and we should not expect anything good from this government. When it comes to moral dignity and moral standards and integrity and honesty, it's obsolete in this government, and we cannot expect anything better. The prime minister finally is going to be the first prime minister to go to prison when they lose the election, and a lot of his cronies are going to go to prison. We're gonna be surprised to see some names who get indicted that we never thought was gonna go to prison. But he might bring along a slew of them with him when they go to prison. Trust me.
All right, thank you for that, Pastor Ricky. Well, Melting Pot, you're closing the curtain tonight, right? So please close the curtain for us. All
Definitely, right. And I will close the curtain tonight, and I will use the topic transparency as it relates to Zara Burton seeking transparency from within the government, but none was forthcoming. I mean, I listen to Andrew Wallace, Mr. 28 bank account, making a speech presentation in relation to the water. And, you know, the plan that they had was of such great significance that it deterred from burdening the consumer. And if the other government did for do it, how much it would have cost, how much burden it would have put, then if something like that is in place, then why is the revelation within the documents not being made public in terms of what is the real actual cost?
Good question.
Why? Because we know Andrew Wallace, you know, when him have something that look good, you know, him cut ribbon, and you see green and black balloon. We know that. So the simple fact of the matter, that them privatize even water to some French company, tell you that them hiding everything and they're not getting Jamaican involved, no matter at what level of the economy. Because we have the commodity, you know, water already, you know. We have it. All it needs is just, you know, machinery to do the work, to distribute the water. But you rely on the diaspora all year round. But when a project as small as water treatment plant becomes something up for, you know, discussion in terms of implementing it to give Jamaicans better water supply, that not been mentioned to diaspora. But on several occasions, we see the same guy leave Jamaica and come to the diaspora seeking help, seeking Jamaican to become investors in Jamaica back home. So we can't understand this government, but we know it's a kleptocratic government. We know it's a mafia government. We know it's a government who like kickback. You know, them share that round them table is a part of the menu. You understand? Because you cannot have interest rate, yeah, at 9.5%. Okay? And then it moved to 12.1%. But you cannot give the true reason why the price moved from US $76 million to US 92 million. Yeah, if you could have explained to me, so well, then all right, it's because of the, you know, the high interest rate, or because of some new price where we have to pay for the machinery. But you have to say something. But under this government is take it or leave it. Them just dash out them dirty garbage. Because them is a government who like garbage, you know. Yeah. So them throw it out. So transparency must be the order of the day. And when you look and you see this woman name keep popping up around, you know, the transparency. You know, once you say Audery Sewell,
yes,
that's a no-go with transparency and clarity.
There you go.
That water muddy straight away. And remember, even going back to Flavor, your track record checker, you know, from she was a part of the Ministry of Education, you know. So as what Anne-Marie earlier pointed out, Flavor Williams is not really in charge of finance. She's a face card, she's a ghost. She's a ghost minister in the Ministry of Finance. Andrew, the real Minister of Finance right now. Not Flavor. Because remember, Flavor coming like a broke down pro box, you know. Just listen to her when she attack. Like she has asked for some farmer, you know, respiratory problem she have. She's a broke down pro box. She couldn't be the Minister of Finance. Andrew, the real Minister of Finance. Because Andrew run the country under mafia scheme, and we know that long time. Andrew bully all them own minister them around him, you know. He bully them. Long time he do it. And if anybody don't believe, just take a look at the leadership election at the arena. And look at Andrew's introduction to that space. And you know, say Andrew is a bully. So, under Andrew Holness government, Jamaica could have never excelled. Jamaica will decline. And Jamaica is at a point now where if we don't stop this rot, we won't be able to lift back Jamaica out of the precipice.
True.
Jamaica will be a country that will always have controversy like Haiti. So we in the space now have to be very, very careful of what we do. So we have to come here on this platform and hold Andrew Holness accountable Because we see where Andrew Wallace are misrepresent the people of Jamaica. You know? We see where Andrew Wallace are do over the past 10 years. We have not seen anything that resonate with, you know, transparency. Everything is in the dark, and when it comes to light, all you can see is corruption. Everything that comes to light under Andrew Wallace administration, when it comes to light, it's corruption, you see, surround it. Because Andrew is a mafia guy. And I don't know why Jamaican people, you know, was blinded and, you know, led down an alleyway by this guy. This guy never really have Jamaica interest at heart to begin with. Because you cannot have a prime minister that on his resume, it only show him to be a political science. That's all him study. So that now will bring nothing to the table in terms of going forward, where the leadership quality is concerned. Because in Andrew Wallace, right now, the same subject I'm adding. This political science right now, it ruined Andrew Wallace. It mashed up the whole of his head. You understand? Because Andrew Wallace cannot demonstrate leadership quality. Because you don't get leadership quality out of political science. Political science is to trick, con, and tell lie. That's the scientific side of political science. PR. How you communicate. How you learn to tell lie. That's how we Andrew study. So Andrew is the worst prime minister. Him worse than Buster. Him worse than Buster Manti. No 2 years. Because at least Buster did half for the people them selfish. But Andrew half for the people them nothing. Him half fight to foreigners. No, as I hear Sister Patsy and I have to endorse what Sister Patsy earlier. How can we allow Chinese to come and assemble garage in Jamaica to fix motor vehicle? Not to make motor vehicle, you know, to fix motor vehicle. Now Jamaica has been doing that for donkey years. Yeah. And we should have never allowed Chinese to come and take over the garage sector. That belongs to the little man. So that means you tell Jamaicans, say, boy, when you leave school, you go learn mechanic, you know. Because if you don't look like a Chinese, you won't have a job.
Real.
But Sister Pat rightfully said, the Chinese will bring non-genuine parts. They operate without tax, so they can provide a cheap service and canyon to come into their garage. But remember, we are going to get the business funding non-genuine parts where your eye cannot determine. Because Chinese is known to scam people everywhere they go with fake goods and fake parts. So, Jamaicans, I am saying to you all, do not throw away your stick before you cross the water. Do not burn your bridges behind. You might need it some other time. Because the Chinese won't be here to stay. Under the People's National Party, the Chinese will have to go. Because I sure know when Mama P went to China and signed the China Harbor deal, it never entailed garage and all these activities where I see the Chinese them a carry out in Jamaica. Mama P never signed no deal for them bring Mali and dildo in our country. She never signed no deal for them come erect no garage state of the art in our country. Mama P did not sign no deal for them get too much hundreds of acres of land. Mama P did not sign any 50-year concession agreement on the road. And Mama P certainly did not sign away the waterfront, down a wharf, the port of entry. No Chinese have that can bring in anything in our place. Nobody can detect it. The few local custom where them have down there. Chinese say, yeah, some man and pass some money to them take it and gone. All type of contraband coming our place. Drugs, gun, everything. Yeah, because Chinese are take out it from Jamaica now, so them come and learn the art of the society. Them know so them can get to the ghetto youth them to all Chinese are take out it. Now me as a Jamaican migrate to the UK. Me could never come here and decide to take out it. Because I don't get that power or authority. Because this place run the right way. Where people's security is at the paramount of the government of the United Kingdom. But in a Jamaica, security for the citizen is non-existent. That's all Chinese can come in and now take out it from Jamaican. So we have to get rid of the Chinese, as Sister Pat said. I mean, fully endorse everything what Sister Pat said because you can see she speak with passion. This is a burning desire that Sister Pat have in regard to the Chinese, them operating in our space and want everything. Yeah. But you know, see them a clean the street. You never see a Chinese a pick up bin. Never in the history of Jamaica. So if you can't do the dirty work, don't come to the clean job. That me I say. So me know under the People's National Party, because the People's National Party is for the people, you know. And I mean the common people, not the affluent them. You understand? Mark G will have to do something to reduce the Chinese numbers that are in Jamaica. Because I can't believe them almost a touch 250,000. No, you cannot have a country that have a population of 2.8 million. But one set of migrants total nearly 250,000. But them don't contribute to the economy. We don't get no money from them for help with the sewage, you know. But them yet still them use the sewage system. We don't see them on the buses them, you know. I use the transportation sector where we have, you know, like taxis and minibus, you know. Not even GOFUNDME, you know, see them pan. But yet still the nasty government put them flag on the bus. But you will never see a Chinese pan a GOFUNDME bus. So where them flag are do on it. No, this is the problem we have with Andrew Hollis government. Andrew Hollis government stoop lower than the ground. And you know the ground is supposed to be the lowest surface, you know. But Andrew underneath that, you know. That's why I say Andrew coming like woodworm. Nyamo Jamaican people them core. Because you can't put Chinese flag on our bus, but them don't take it. But even if them they take it, them are not Jamaican. Those buses were acquired by Jamaicans and owned by Jamaica as a country. And that just show you say, even the pride where Jamaica have where Michael Manley give way. When Michael Manley make the speech and say, labor right, hear me, a alter the balance in favor of the black and the poor. And I make no apology. You walk with a pride today you never have before. And it's because of my work. Him take away all that the pride. So Jamaica now just a go around like some people where don't even know them identity, don't even know them surrounding a change. It soon look like China. The space soon full up of be Chinese people. Every business called China right now with them Chinese that operate in our place. Where it going to do to shop, it will kill them. Corner shop when soon become a thing of the past. And a joke business. Because when you have everybody around go Mr. Chin and Mr. Chin, you know, the corner shop have to go close. And if it not close, I 1 and 2 items up on the shelf. But the corner shop provide Jamaican with a lifeline when the Chinese them close. Because the Chinese them now open till late at night. So we must keep the core, our heritage and our roots. We come know about corner shop. Don't make no Chinese come kill the corner shop. Don't make no Chinese come kill the garage sector. The little man round there, so we have to feed them family. We're born and grow amongst you. But you have to support a nasty Chinese that come from China. Me not believe in another one there. That have to uproot. Because Sister Pat said there is no Jamaicans in China that granted the privilege and the license to open a state-of-the-art garage in China. And we know we don't have a wholesale down there either. We don't have a restaurant down there because these Chinese don't eat Jamaican food, it seems like. You never see them in none of a restaurant. I share the same space I look at food. We want to know if them not hungry. And maybe I true we not cook dog. I don't know, but something wrong why them not participate in the local economy, but yet still you have nearly 250,000 of them in our country. What can go? So we have to fix that problem. Right now, that problem that big like the corruption where Andrew Wallace around. The Chinese is a problem that is parallel alongside Andrew Wallace corruption. Because Chinese are take from our Jamaican people billions of dollars a year time. Billions of dollars. And right now, we the think slavery abolished, but no, Jamaicans will be slave for Chinese for a very long time to come unless we plug the gap from now. We have to fix that problem. We cannot sign up to an agreement that run over half a century with one country. When we be a slave for China for 50 years for road. Come on, people. This is absurd. So this is the problem we have a face with. This is a challenging problem with the People's National Party have a face when them come in our office. But I know they will come up with the right formulated plan and something will have to do to the high influx of Chinese people coming into Jamaica, wanting to own Jamaica, because technically that's what them do. Them have a highway named Beijing. That is garbage. That has to come down. We have to put up Bob Marley and Miss Loop on that. And make the two of them name becomes one. Yeah? We cannot have not Beijing highway in our country when we have to pay a fee, but we never did get no money to even do the construction work. With Jamaica not participate in it to no high level. The fuel could use them when you see them on there and broom them and push broom them use. There was no Jamaican brain there to learn the skill, because what this government do is declassify Jamaicans. Yeah? Saying to the world that Jamaicans don't have skilled personnel. We have to import skilled personnel into Jamaica to build building. My God, I know some of the most beautiful architectural design building, you find them in Jamaica. Perch on some hillside. Who build them? Chinese? No. Jamaican build them. Jamaican build them and them stand the test of time. Through all various elements. Them stand up there. No, me see a whole heap of building a pop down in a China up to last night. Them charge the man that had the contract agreement. Them fine him because them system use substandard steel. So this is how Chinese are go around but do. Them no good. Them come in your place. How can a Chinese man work harder than a black man? Him not have the strength the black people have. And remember, black people have more skill and more knowledge than Chinese. Some of the world's finest inventions were from the black community. The filament where in the bulb, the filament where you see make the bulb light up, a black man invention. And I will even go in at some more. But I just use a bulb. And none of them come up with that. It's a black man come up with the filament to make your bulb light. So me no put them there over black people. And them no good in terms of what people are giving them the ratings about contractor and development. I be a substandard project them undertake. And it's a pop down all about everywhere them go. So I want Jamaicans to realize and understand, say, look, you what now? Chinese can go take root in our country, you know, when we support them. Forget what government can do for them, and I give them. If government give a house, yeah, but you know, you can't go in it, you know. So the key to the Chinese uprising in Jamaica is the support from the Jamaicans. So if Jamaicans don't go around them and support them, they have to leave the place. They have to leave. And I yield back to the panel.
All right. So people, there you have it as it relates to Melting Pot closing us out. All right. So again, we are going to meet right on Friday. And of course, and I'm asking persons to give a prayer for Brother Rattigan.
Yeah.
Right. He's still healing. Right. Not feeling too well. Right. But you know, we're hoping the best that you know you may pull through. All right.
Remember the Magnitsky petition that Rattigan is asking everyone to sign. It's important that you sign your name to it. It's not about giving a donation to sign, but the donation will go towards helping to pay lawyers and investigators. But the main objective is to sign it. They need at least 5,000 to 10,000. I spoke to Rattigan yesterday, and he said 5,000 to 10,000 signature on it. That's what the goal and the objective is. So if you have not signed the Magnitsky petition, please do so. It's a worthy cause. And this is what to hold the government, what we talk about night in, night out, accountable. It's going to also require international, external entities. But we have to have the framework to get it rolling. And this is one way to do it. So everybody in the chat, sign the Rattigan's Magnitsky petition. It's not asking you for any money to sign. However, if you want to make a donation, make it to the one Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, which is Rattigan's foundation. That's what he said. Thank you, Sir Byron.
All right. Well, people, there you have it. I want to say big thanks to all of the subscribers and people who are not subscribers who are, you know, looking in via TV land. We want to say big thanks, right, to spend your precious time with Mystic Sensation. I think my wife is putting the link in the chat that relates to the Magnitsky Act.
And we'll put it on the description as well.
All right. So let me say big thanks to Melting Pot for definitely be back in the space.
Brother. Yeah,
all right.
man.
Salute and big thanks to Pastor Ricky. Right. We love the breakdown today. Right. So once again, gentlemen, big thanks. And all the persons in the chat, thank you for passing.
Good night, everybody in the chat. Sir Melton Pot, Sir Rattigan, Sir Byron, Sir Henry, Spot alone, some blessings.
Blessings. Good night. All right, cool.
Safe travel on the gravel, guys.
Right.
Bless up on the
Yeah, man.
Bless up. All right. Okay.